Nick, by the way, like with the really good shout out on all of our on baby headphones, which is like we got a pair of baby headphones that we just never ended up using. And
I kind of want to check in with Nick and see how he feels, because like, is he excited at all? The fact that they did make it after all, like, or is it just total just despair because they lost the division anyways?
I would imagine I mean, you and him are in opposite wavelengths right now because you're a Mets fan. And
well, I'm kind of like, I'm in great transition because to me, I'm kind of like, this was just assisted suicide for the Mets yesterday. Like,
wow,
this was, if you followed this team as a fan, the entire, like, especially the second half of the season, miserable experience. Like, it just, there was so many games where I just open up my phone and it would be 4-0, 5-0. And we're like already in the middle or the bottom of the first inning. And they used 14 starting pitchers between, what was it, from June 13th, they used 14 starting pitchers and had a ERA of 5.34. So
that's wild.
Before
we end this cold open and jump into things, I'm going to live ask Spencer. When I'm looking at my video, this is why we do everything live. I feel like I'm a little delayed. Am I?
You are. You are a little delayed, but your audio's fine. So
my audio's fine, but my camera isn't. Hang on a second. Is it because I have the? Let me just see. Sorry, guys. We are Dad's Bet Baseball. We are live. We are sponsored by Hall of Fame Bets. We are closing out applications on our computer because I feel like maybe that's one of the things causing it, like in a very boomer way. That could be something. Could be the new camera. Hall of Fame Bets, code DADS. Let me just do this. Come on, guys. All right. Device.
Do you have Fangraphs up? Because I'm like, Fangraphs, when I don't have a paid subscription, my computer runs like it's like 20 years old.
I do not have Fangraphs up because I use Handygraphs. Thank you very much. I never have to use that site.
Good call out.
So it's man,
which still has all the data from yesterday. There's no updated data yet for tomorrow.
It's the biggest, like, sorry, I'm just like, I mean, I understand this is kind of a shots fired, but that is one of the inherent problems with this. I'm going to move this down to 1080. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know, guys. But
there you go. You're back.
Oh, I'm better.
You're
okay,
not
cool.
Anymore.
I just moved. I moved down to 30. All right, much better. Okay, cool. Dad's Bet Baseball. 2 minutes in, 2 cold opens. Awesome. Playoff baseball. I love
Let's
it.
Go.
Let's go. All right. All right. So look, I gave out some plays today. We're going to talk we're going to freewheel this a little bit, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about how you bet the playoffs and not just in the real degenerate way. And the first thing I would tell people is about how you bet the playoffs is don't bet the playoffs. So get creative. But would be, as always, is my co-host, CJ Buskey, aka Slippin' Jimmy. CJ, hockey season's coming too, so I've been dipping myself into a lot of futures there. That is going to be fun. NFL props have been kicking off 2 straight 4-1 circa weeks. I am feeling very, very good about all of our bets. And I'm very ready to have this episode talk a little about football, but I want to give you the floor for 90 seconds to actually dedicate talk about your Mets. The floor is yours.
I mean, I guess I started with the eulogy and how miserable and terrible and gross of an experience this season was. I mean, I'm literally wearing a Yankees hat right now just because of the straight defiance of this organization. But I'll flip it to just say that the positive side in me is, this team overachieved last year. They were, I believe, 0-72 in games where they trailed after the 8th inning, which is kind of insane. They didn't win one single game when they trailed after the 8th inning. They
basically quit. It's what it's basically telling. They're like,
no. And then they said, we're going to bring Mendoza back immediately today. But
I think that's probably a clubhouse.
I think it's the right move, even though I don't necessarily love it. But also last season, they were 12 games. They were plus 12 for games that were 1-run games. They were -3 this season. I know some of that is a little bit of variance. But look, they've got Soto. They have a top 7 now farm system. They've got some great prospects with they've already called up, obviously, McLean, Sprout, and Tong. They didn't give up any of those big prospects in the deadline deals that they made. They have Juan Soto. That's a pretty good thing to have on your baseball team. They still have Francisco Lindor. We'll see what they do with Diaz and Alonso, but I'm going to assume they're probably both back. So, yeah, I mean, I think any Mets fan would tell you that it was this team never deserved to make the playoffs. Did the Reds really deserve to make the playoffs? I don't know either, but you know what? Hopefully,
The teams that made the playoffs deserve to make the playoffs. That's not fair. We're not gonna say that. We can't say that. We can say that teams don't deserve to win games, but we cannot say that a team doesn't deserve to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs. You make
all
the
right,
playoffs.
Fair. We did. And by the way, I had Cincinnati to make the playoffs just like you did in our futures. We were relatively high on this team preseason, so they did make me some money on that, and happy about that.
And then I'd forgotten that through one of our listeners, I had quadrupled down on it at 35-1. Oh, by the way, yeah, Spencer calling this out. I said this right away that Pete Alonso in like hour after. By the way, I'm
like
out.
literally like didn't even get off the field, and he's like, "I'm out, opting out." Yeah,
which is a terrible business decision, in my opinion.
Good luck as a aging first baseman heading into a lockout.
Couldn't find anyone to sign him to a long-term deal, and now you're headed to a lockout. That's good luck with that one.
Like your situation versus someone like Nick Pivetta, very, very different in terms of value in the market. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I said, I think we're going to go through the same song and dance with him.
That being said, shall we talk some futures? How'd you want to jump into this? What's the best way to talk about this?
So, well, I wanted to bring up with you because shameless plug for you and Scott. Especially since Scott has come on the show so many times.
He's actually only
SGPN,
been on. I think he's only been on 3 times.
Is it 3? I feel like it's more than 3. But
Colby's louder and he's approaching 4. It's like hosting Saturday Night Live. You basically get like a jacket, and you get to hang out with Steve Martin.
Well, it's. I'm just saying, it's Colby. It's like this hasn't aged quite as well, but like the Alec Baldwin on SNL. It's like he just
Colby's
makes a memorable.
Colby is definitely Alec. No, he didn't age well. He's fine.
So,
he didn't kill the guy. He just should have known that. Yeah. Anyway, it's fine.
My point with that is that great podcast you guys did this morning to talk like strategy on betting postseason props. So to be honest, like we'll talk a little bit about this, I think, with Eric, but I don't need to go and hammer some of those same points when, like, if you go listen to that podcast and even just the first 20 minutes, you'll get a lot of the stuff from a props angle and strategy wise that makes sense. The thing that I wanted to bring up to you is a little bit more around just general sort of team stuff that happens in the postseason. And there's 2 main things I wanted to hit on. And then I wanted to do a quick, like, little game with you on who meets this specific criteria, because I think it's gonna line up with a lot of our stuff.
No, let's do it.
So okay,
okay.
So the first quick 2 things is that there are less runs, but they do come in bunches, and there's higher strikeouts, and the home run rates are actually pretty stable in the postseason. So just know that there's not as many rallies. Generally,
when you say home run rates, you mean home run rates per player or occurrence overall?
Occurrence overall, like compared to like what it would be during.
It's about a 12-game sample size is what we're talking about, probably. Like if you go to the World Series, if you make a run,
I'm talking just an aggregate, like total number of home runs in a postseason. If you played that same sample set of regular season games, they usually come around the same. Like it's not like they're crazy different from total number of home runs across.
Does that mean we want to take the over on total number of home runs in the postseason?
We could. I've got 2 better ones though.
Keep going. Yeah. Tell me.
So we'll get to that though. Second thing is just real quick that I don't know if you guys mentioned this morning. If you have a bad manager, that gets magnified in the postseason. So I love that you guys also called out that Dave Roberts sucks, because he's got 2 World Series, one with an asterisk on it. Sorry, Dodgers fans, but he, like, to me, that's the epitome of somebody that can lose you a series from.
They're the Clippers of the MLB. They're the absolute Los Angeles Clippers of the MLB.
They play Los Angeles.
They play a third of the season.
Okay, so those are the 2 quick things I want to hit on. Now, third thing, and this is where I wanted to kind of go into this semi sort of game with you, which is I call it sort of the October magic formula, which is there are 4 different types of metrics or things that you should be looking at for teams that are going to succeed that would you be wanting to bet on those teams, which also goes to your point with you and Scott this morning. We're saying like, look, if you're going to be betting like home run leader, RBI leader, like you want to take teams that can make good runs and obviously play the most games, right? You're betting
that was
almost
the biggest.
on
That was the biggest lesson learned from you and I from last year. Like I had fun doing those with you, but like we just approached it wrong. We approached it like a regular season, and that's why we only hit on one. But like,
which did pay for a lot of the other ones.
Which paid for everything else. But my lesson learned from that was don't get so enamored by these like teams because like Gavin Williams is 150 to 1 for his strikeout leader. I don't think that the Guardians are going to the World Series, so I don't see how this.
I think I had Frankie Montas as strikeout leader last year.
Yeah, we both did.
It sounded good off the tongue.
Yeah, that sounded great.
Okay, so here's the four pieces of criteria. You need to have great starting pitching. Okay, obviously that's pretty obvious, right? Like you need to have good starters. You need to have a good bullpen. It doesn't have to be like top 3, top 4, but it has to be good, and it has to be pretty good at least. You know, one of my favorite stats, which is K minus BB. So it's strikeouts and less walks. So you need to be pretty good in that area. You need to have power. That's pretty obvious.
Yep.
There's home run rate stays the same, but less runs. Well, teams that hit home runs going to do better. And you need at least above average to like decent fielding. Again, not something that's going to kill you. Maybe you weigh that the least, but those are the 4 main things. All right. So I did this exercise. All right. And I looked at splits from basically August 1st so post deadline. So we've got about 2 months.
But a couple weeks after.
Right. So great starting pitching. Give me 3 teams you think were top 6 in Sierra since August 1st. And by the way, all of these are going to be playoff teams. We're only talking about playoff teams.
In starting pitching?
Mm-hmm.
Starting pitching, not bullpen.
Just starting pitching. We'll get to bullpen and the others in a second, but just starting pitching.
Phils.
Yes.
The Dodgers.
Yes. Yep.
And the Yankees.
Okay, no. Yankees were not in the top. So I did it by top 6 in Sierra since August 1st.
Okay.
4 teams. Dodgers, Mariners, Phillies, Reds. That one surprised me a little bit. Reds.
That does surprise me because I couldn't tell you who the 3 guys who are going for the Reds are.
Same, but they by Sierra since August 1st. All right. Second one. Good bullpen. Same thing. Give me 3 teams that you think were in the top 10 in K minus BB and Sierra since August 1st.
That aren't Phillies.
Okay, yes.
The Padres.
Yes.
And the Red Sox.
No, Red Sox were not on that list. Okay, so here's your list of the good bullpens. Cubs, Guardians, Padres, Mariners, Yankees, Phillies, Brewers. That's your list. So those 7 are top 10 in K minus BB and Sierra since August 1st as a bullpen.
Okay, so skill and execution.
Right. Okay, 2 more. So power. Give me 3 teams that you think were top 6 in ISO.
Oh, Yankees.
Yes.
Brewers. Dodgers.
No. Yes.
Brewers aren't in that. Brewers aren't in that. Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers, and Mariners.
Yes. So all 4 of them were top 6 in ISO. The other 2 were the Blue Jays that's it. Those are 5. So Yankees, Phillies, Mariners, Dodgers, Toronto. All right, last one. Outs above average. 3 teams you think were outs above average since August 1st.
3 teams that had out, so their starting pitching got
good field.
Good defense. Sorry about that.
Outs above average. Good defense. Which teams do you think were the teams that were?
Good, Brewers. Yeah.
There's
Brewers.
No, surprising. Yes, okay. Not top 10.
Red Sox.
Yes.
Guardians.
No, Guardians were also not top 10. So okay, so like this was interesting.
Toronto,
I was going through this. Toronto was top 10, and
then I assume that the Reds probably
were not top 10. So
Really?
here's
Interesting.
your 5 playoff teams that were top 10. Dodgers, Cubs, Red Sox, Toronto, Philly. Okay.
Philly had a good defense. Good for them.
So after running through that, there is one team that met every single one of those criteria. I think we know which team that was.
Yay. It's the Phillies.
Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah,
They're the only team.
Their odds also,
do
you notice, massively shifted over the last 3 weeks to being,
Now, again, you could be saying, like, no shit, Sherlock, like, they're the favorites to win the World Series. But
yeah, but it's different. I know my team, but it's a little different this year. Well, it's different this year because, like, they're having hot streaks and then they're 6-4, not hot streaks and then they're 2-8. It's very different.
Yeah. So what I thought was super interesting about going through this, and I can tweet this honestly so everybody can see this, but there were 2 teams that had 3 of the 4. Those were the Mariners and the Dodgers, which I know you're not as high on the Dodgers. I'm a little bit higher.
I'm a little higher on the Dodgers. I'm just not, and I'll talk.
But they're going to have to run into the Phillies.
This. I'm just not. I said this to Scott earlier when I was looking through my stuff. I said, "Hey, we have 0 Mariners." He said, "I have 0 interest in buying any of that team," and I do. I have 0 interest in buying any of that.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying the hardcore number, the hard numbers here. Not saying I'm betting the Mariners, but they do meet a lot of that criteria. The teams with 2 were the Yankees, Cubs, and Toronto, and then everybody else except one team had at least one of those 4, and that would be the Detroit Tigers, which is no surprise because they were very, very bad. So all in all, after kind of running through that exercise, you don't need all 4 to necessarily, it's like, yep, you have all 4, you're going to win the World Series. But if you're not popping on at least like 2 of those 4, to me, which would be Detroit, Cincy, Milwaukee, okay, as the number 1 seed. So Milwaukee only had 1 of them. Cleveland had a great run, only 1 of them. Boston and the Padres. There's 6 teams right there that I could be like, I don't think they're winning the World Series. And I can just base it on the fact that they only have 1 of those 4 key qualities of teams that typically do well.
Well, this is a really good segue then to bring in Eric, I think, because I know one of Eric's future bets, and it involves one of these teams. What's going on? And there he is.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me. Let's talk some baseball. I was hearing your guys' conversation, and it's just getting me excited for tomorrow.
I believe Eric and CJ, you guys haven't met, but Eric is.
We have not, man. Welcome to the show.
In addition to being awesome at baseball, he's just Eric. You're a Mets fan too, right?
No, I just love the game. I love
I thought you were a Mets
my friends, talk smack about whoever team is doing poorly, and I like to stir the pot.
No, it's I mean, it's good. You just look, man. Frankly, you know your shit. That's why you're here. This is our most important thing. I'm like irrationally excited about future bets because it's just kind of like restarting the season all over again. So okay, I guess the first question I want to ask you, and then we can jump into a couple bets an approach is not. You can't say the Mets not making the playoffs, but is there one team that you thought this season that you were much higher on that is not here right now in the playoffs?
Yeah, Texas. I think I've
join the club.
And there's our episode quota for the Texas
Rangers. For Texas Rangers bet. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, tell me.
I got enamored by the lineups. Like everybody preseason thought, like Jock was going to be a massive addition. They had Berger. You think Langford's going to take this big leap after a great rookie year. Of course, DeGrom actually was the healthy one. Eovaldi pitched the way that we expected him to pitch, and we thought that bullpen was going to continue to perform well like they did that year they won the World Series. And I thought that after the down year with Seager hopefully being healthy, again, some of these additions that it was Texas' time to shine, especially with Houston making the moves they did this offseason that kind of looked like they were going to take a step backwards, which they also, did. They didn't make the playoffs. But I was big on the Texas to make the playoffs. And that was my team I was surprised on. Other team I had a lot of exposure on was the Rays, thinking there would be some mayhem in the AL East, like we did see. They had that little run, in May or maybe early June where it looked like that was a good bet.
It was later. No, it was like June because we took because they were the same odds as the Jays, and we were like, oh, they're both 7-1.
Yeah, we bet them simultaneously.
We bet them
the same day.
Yeah,
and then Toronto just ran away with it, and then the Rays were just kind of like, oh yeah, we don't really try. for the second half of the season. Like,
No, and it was that was a downfall. So that was my like worst like loss. Like I had like I mean again we're talking about a team that's 10-1 preseason to make the playoffs. I did have their over win total, which of course didn't win as well. But I wouldn't say I expected them to win because they were good. I thought they were just undervalued compared to market. So I will stick with Texas as my answer. But the Rays they failed me this year.
So all right, you're really good at baseball betting. What is something that is different about how you approach both game line? Give me like an answer on game line and then on prop lines when you're approaching playoff betting versus regular season.
So I'll start with actually the prop answer because for me, this is one of the few times, and both of you guys want to hear your perspective and correct me if you disagree. This is one of the few times where I actually am just straight up riding the hot hand.
Yeah.
I don't care if the odds, I know that a lot of times in baseball, of course, sample sizes. So like during the season, not a hit rate better by any means in any sport. But if you have a guy who goes, 2 for 3 or 2 for 4 in one game, unless it's like somebody who's like a clear platoon player who's not going to play the next day because they're playing like a lefty, I'm absolutely betting on that guy to have another good big game the next game coming out there. So when it comes to props, as much as I normally like to bet a lot of unders in the regular season, if a guy is heating up, I will continue to ride a hot bat throughout the course of the postseason, especially in that same series. So that's one thing for props. When it comes to game lines, Adam and CJ, I like to look a lot on underdogs. It probably seems a little bit square. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like preseason betting, because for preseason, when you have a bunch of guys who are probably relatively, it's difficult, much more difficult to price, of course, a playoff game, a lot more liquidity, a lot more efficient, but I'm looking for somebody that it's like, okay, these two teams, it's like, are they really that far off? Let me get plus money in a situation. So coming into some of the bets that we'll talk about a little bit, I'm hunting for some plus money when it comes to a game-to-game basis, because if there is a matchup where I think that these teams, they're clearly more equal than it seems, especially in this environment where one win or one loss is so massive, especially in the early rounds here with a 3 and 5 game series. I'm taking I like a lot of underdog game lines, like teams to win, especially in these first 2 rounds.
Okay, so that was where I wanted to ask a follow-up, because I love, by the way, the streaky hitter, like backing that. It just makes me always think of Daniel Murphy from 2015, a guy that pretty average hitter for most of the season and then just went nuclear for like 2 rounds. And if you had just bet his total bases or home run in every game, you would have made a boatload of money. So, but you had mentioned the first 2 rounds and targeting underdogs in those rounds. I will say historically, and especially with the new wildcard format, that has not panned out well, at least for longer series. So, for example, we have 12 wildcard series in the last 2 years. 12 wildcard series in the last 3 years. 10 of those 12 have ended in 2 games. So they're typically not long series. So is there something specific about a dog that you like in those first 2 series? You're like, you know what? For example, I just really like the starting pitching matchups here. They hit lefties really well. Anything in particular that might kind of make you lean one over the other?
I think it's going back to even like the player prop. It's a little bit of momentum, and definitely probably just some bias on my end, because like last year I had the Royals over the Orioles, so I saw that being one of the few ones that won. And we know the Orioles were kind of sluggish.
You were on an island on that one. I didn't like the Orioles at the end, but like that's a great call out by you, because I was just like, what is this? I'm like, what is this Royals team doing? And yeah, that's a good call out.
Yeah, and I forgot who was the year prior that I had, like, I guess one of the few situations where it won. But like again, it's like a team that's like kind of slumping, where I think like the Blue Jays, for example, if they were not had a bye this week, I would be all against whoever they were playing, especially in like a game 1, not necessarily for the series. But no, I like to, again, it's like, it sounds so square because we're talking about like the things you should probably avoid when you're betting over the course of the season. But for like a playoff series, like we know if teams are not hitting the ball really well, they kind of limped their way into the playoffs where they really lost a bunch of games, lost all the momentum coming in. And you have a team that's like all else equal, right? Like they match up particularly well. Like for example, like Dodgers Reds, I heard you talking about a little bit, CJ, about how the Reds pitching staff's actually been fantastic over the last end of the season. But you look at it like holistically, it's like, yeah, do I really think that the Reds are on an equal playing field as the Dodgers? Though they have the advantage of a 3-game series where you don't have to be really equal to them. The answer is no. So I feel like the discrepancy is not as big. That's where I like to look for an underdog, which I did find one that I do like for this first round as well coming up.
So, but I'm gonna get to that underdog, because one of the teams that they are playing, I would argue, sort of limped into the playoffs. I wouldn't say limped, but dragged their leg a little bit. That being the Chicago Cubs. They were 4-6 their last 10. I coordinated them division champs in June because I hate the Brewers. This kind of goes into your first bet. So tell us your first bet, and let's talk about what's going on in Southern California.
I like the Padres to beat the Cubs in the first round. I am upset that they're playing in the first round just because like a couple weeks ago, a month ago, I love the Cubs. I was thinking the Cubs were a good buy throughout the season. Right. They're an interesting team here. But when it comes down to pitching, which is going to be really crucial in the postseason, the ability that the Padres have to really shorten the game, I think, is going to be the difference here.
Especially Horton injury is a big effing deal.
Massive deal. Cade Horton not being able to pitch is going to be big. I know Matthew Boyd's had some good outings this year, and overall has definitely been a plus for Chicago. But I really do just trust the Padres pitching staff a lot more. Then you have guys like PCA, of course, like for Chicago. We know what's happened to him in the second half of the year. It's like, how much can you trust him to really get on base versus the Padres, where I just have a lot more trust in even not as great guys, even like Luis Ariz. We could talk all day about how unvaluable he is, even relative to how high his average is and how many hits he can get here. I do just overall have more faith in the pitching staff, big time front end starters, as well as the relievers for San Diego. And I think if the offenses really are all else relatively equal, the ability to shorten the game there for San Diego is going to be really what helps them end up winning this wild card series.
I agree with that one. Sorry, I agree with that. I mean, we have Cubs Phillies exact as well. We have things that we liked with the Cubs and it'd be great, but they kept finding a new floor. Mm-hmm. And Boyd I loved Boyd last year, and he aggressively hit a wall. Mm-hmm. You could see it in all of his deep metrics. It was just he went from a guy who was giving up maybe one run in the first couple months to not making it to the fifth and just being wildly inefficient, walking guys and all over the place. I'm in the same boat as you on that one. I think that, again, this is one of those also situations. Cubs are also a public team. Public team is going to be at home, and a lot of people are going to say, "Oh man, this home field advantage," which, by the way, has been proven to not matter in MLB more than almost any other sport. I think 5 of the last 6 World Series were ended by the road team. It's just, yeah. So I completely agree with this bet. I have this bet on the local. So
I would also say too, Eric, because you said you were listening at the top of the show. The fact that the Cubs were not in that ranking on power on ISO, when this has been a team that one of the reasons I feel like we all fell in love with them early in the season was we're like, oh my God, this lineup is going to be able to mask a lot of the pitching issues until they can sort of fix that. And that team, and from a raw power standpoint, especially you're getting a limp Kyle Tucker coming back too. I know he was just activated, but I'm not completely convinced he's 100% healthy. That to me was kind of another red flag with those guys is, look, the starting pitching can be you can have the issues with starting pitching, but if you also don't have the power to be able to have some more of this type of high variance games, then that's a big problem.
Yeah, the Cubs would have to realistically build to slug their way to a World Series championship, but hopefully outscore teams in October, which I don't think still is so far-fetched because they do have that roster. But again, mentioning the metrics that support that, maybe they don't, especially with the Tucker injury, especially with how PCA has played down the stretch, especially with that pitching staff. Then it's okay, if you're going to score, 8 runs a game, then good luck beating you. But if you're going to allow 6 and only be able to score 5, you're not going to make it out of the first round, which is what I anticipate happening.
Yeah, I also think I like the team. When I saw Kyle Tucker in a bunch of things. I hope he's getting a cortisone injection because it's very clear that he's hurt. It's also very clear that Suzuki's hurt. It's who am I going to rely on? Michael Busch. I think that Tatis is hiding an injury too. Something sapped his power very clearly, but Luis Ariz is always going to get on base, and Gavin Sheets is still doing a lot of things. A lot of guys came back. I like that the pitching is great for that team. I mean, the one bet I have for that series with those guys is I have I took a Dylan Cease over earned runs for the postseason, and that is less about Dylan Cease, about his ability to get people out and stuff like that, more that he's got the third highest walk rate amongst guys that are amongst pitchers in the playoffs. So his pitch count gets up. And if you are walking guys and you have leashes that are shorter in the playoffs, you could still win a game and give up 4 and your earned run inherited runner. Inherited runners could be a thing, is basically what it comes down to. So I liked his over on that. And, it's funny in a lot of ways. I'm really high on Jesus Luzardo, and Dylan Cease is like white Jesus Luzardo to me. Like he's got like really good K stuff, and also probably will walk like 3 guys. So
absolutely.
All right, give me another playoff future that you like.
So kind of just piggybacking on the back of this. So I have just 2 positions from preseason, one from preseason, one from the middle of the season, and one that I'm basically doubling down on now that we're at the finish line here. So preseason, I had Seattle, LAD exacta. That's like 3-1.
Wow.
I'm hanging out.
What number did you get that at?
It was like plus 2870 or something around those odds. It was at Caesars. I can confirm exactly, but like just under 30-1. The Dodgers at that point were like plus 150, and Seattle really did the heavy lifting for that. So I just parlayed like to win the NL, to win the AL. Like didn't like bet an exact, like basically creating an exacta. So rooting for Seattle and LA. When around probably the All-Star break, when DK was giving out, I think one of their like boosts for like making a future boost. I took SD. I used the boost on there. So I have SD and LAD as my 2 to win the NL real positions. And then to double down, another future bet that's available now is on DraftKings. They have team to win, or division, I should say, to win the NL. And the NL West is staring right at me at 165. They wouldn't play each other unless they play each other in the
nice.
I was about to say, it's a good bracket bet.
In the championship round. So lo and behold, like I said, instead of adding positions or maybe like, hedging a little bit or trying to corner the market as a lot of people do there, I'm just doubling down and think that based on the way that the bracket worked out, based on these 2 teams, me being highest on literally one from the get-go, one mid-season, I'm riding. I think what Friday was like 165 plus 165 for either the Padres or the Dodgers to win the NL.
I like that. I mean, you got the coverage you need within that. It's so what obviously, look, you're never going to be a guy who likes chalk anyway, but what do you not like about, Seattle's technically chalk, but not really. Tell me, like, without going into it, give me like one sentence on why you don't like Jays, Philly, or the Yankees in any of these things.
Jays managing, Yankees managing plus fielding plus base running plus.
I think, by the way, but I think Boone and the bullpen are actively sabotaging games on purpose, like because of some sort of weird sleeper agent thing.
It is years. It's not like it's a 1-year sample. Last year they had that blow up inning. Like they had been mismanaged of a team from the front off, from ownership down, as we know in any sports, most important for years at this point. And for the Phils, there's nothing that I don't like about the Phils. It's just like,
you don't have to say that because it's me. We're friends. You can be honest with me.
Look at the market.
I love you anyway.
I'm going to bet the Phils at 2-1 now when I have 15-1 boosted on the Padres, and
the number thing. I get
Seattle's part of that Dodger bet. The Dodgers win. I mean, if the Dodgers win the NL with the 160 bet I got, then I have the Padres and Dodgers that works. But no, to me, I don't have any beef with the Phils. Just pricing wise at this point, never got in, and it's too late to get in now.
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't get in. I just never did. Well, I didn't for a lot of reasons. Juju reasons I didn't get in. I also just have seen this movie multiple times, and it never ends well. But instead, I found ways. One of the ways that I always tell people don't play outrights for the playoffs. Actually, Dave Sherapan gave me late great Dave Sherapan gave me really good baseball betting advice 3 years ago, and he said when you get to the playoffs, build boxes and exactas of the teams. Pick the 4 teams that you like, the 2 and 2, and just go boom, 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 boom on all of them, and just. And that's basically a better way. You're going to get 3 times the number. It's going to be awesome. I remember he talked about it with me on Sports Grid or something like that. And that's kind of what I've been sort of building portfolios and things around. I didn't do it today. Today I went on like Christopher Sanchez for NLCS MVP is what I took because if he starts game 1, he has a chance to start 3, and pitchers that start 3 games in a championship series nearly always win MVP because they were basically the stopper multiple times. And then Luzardo K leader, and then I found a really good number on I took Bohm for hits leader, and because I was looking it up. And I went through all my where is it? Yeah. His last 50% of his last 20 games, he had 2+ hits. And he doesn't strike out because he swings at the first 3 pitches. He has the least amount of pitches that he takes per plate appearance because he doesn't walk, he doesn't strike out, and he just likes to get on base. But again, yeah, they got a couple of days off, it's hot, but like for a hits leader thing, I want somebody who I know is consistently able to get 2 hits, even if they're whatever. And so that was one of the things. That was my exposure on the Phillies is as of right now, and a couple exactas.
Yeah, makes sense. Kept it light. Don't want to have the bad juju for your hometown boys there.
Yeah. CJ, what do you got? Question was.
Do you want to give a bet, or do we have?
Well, give up. CJ, why don't you give a bet? I'll live react, and then Eric can give his last bet.
All right. Well, mine. So I'm trying to find some more kind of these like floor bets that I'm not trying to get as much exposure on the darts, and I've got 2 real quick that I think are good bets and actually have like real edges on them. One is if you play the over 58.5 total stolen bases right now, it's on DK. You can get it at -110. 7 of the top 12 teams in the playoffs by steals are in the postseason, including the Yankees, the Phillies, Seattle, Milwaukee, teams that we think are going to have a good chance to make decent runs. And 9 of the top 12 teams by caught stealing percentage allowed in the postseason as well. So 58.5, I like that one just because a lot of teams steal. The Yankees stole a lot last year. Dodgers stole a lot last year. And since this expanded in 2023, you had 66 in 23, 57 last year. So it did go under, but in general, I still think that's probably a pretty good number. The other one I would say is
on that one, I feel like I like that because I feel like watching playoff baseball. How many times do you see in the 8th inning or whatever, and a bottom of the order guy gets on, and they just kind of like let them steal whatever bases because they're just. I feel like just eye test wise, I've watched enough baseball that I see that happen way more in the playoffs. That they're just like fine. Go Bryson Stott.
And I would never have bet this prior to 2023, but by all means, like if you go and look at the historic data for it, like it's pretty low up until the change, and then you can see there's a clear discrepancy there. The other one I would say though is on Caesars right now. There is a bet you can make. It's only on Caesars on the total number of postseason games. So the total number is 43.5. So just the quick math here. The maximum number of games you can play in a postseason, I believe, is 52. The least number of games you can play, I think, is like 33. It's like right in between there.
Where is this?
On Caesars. It's on Caesars. It's awesome. I think it's like playoff specials. So
postseason specials. I found it. Yeah.
Yeah. So 43.5 is the number, right? Well, since 2000, the average number of games from the DS on, so Division Series to the end of the World Series, is 33 games. You have the wild card series that got added in terms of those extra games with the 3-game sets. I made that point to you, Eric, earlier, where a lot of these wild card series are teams that are kind of coming in on fumes, and a lot of them end in sweeps. We've only had 2 series that actually extended to the 3 games. So if you actually do the math, really what that number probably should be is like 42.5 or even like 41. Potentially to bet the over on. But if you just play the average number of games that a postseason has, and you're being extra conservative and saying, I'm going to say at least half of the wild card series go 3 games, you're still under on the bet. So it's all
right, I'm in.
It's a pretty good, like, yeah, I can get into like other numbers and stuff and shit like that in terms of telling you how big of an edge it is, but it's a pretty good edge. It's not a market I think a lot of people will be paying attention to. And yeah, this has been under, by the way, every single postseason since the 2022 expansion. So I like the under 43.5 total postseason games.
There's the one Scott brought up this morning on our show. He which wasn't up when I was there, and I see it now, or maybe is it not there now? Well, it might not be in my state. Nope, here it is. Yeah, highest pitch speed in a 2025 postseason game, over 102.5.
Yeah, it was like minus 180 or something. I saw
What doesn't matter. There's like multiple like there are multiple guys who could easily do this, and it's just. So we took the over on it. This and the any team score last year it was 5.5 more than 5.5 runs in the first inning, or not first inning, in an inning. And we always cash it on like this first or second day because there's some team that gets like
that one's still available too. That one's up this year too, I think. Yeah. Oh, it's 6.5. Oh, okay.
Now it is this year. It is. So it's a little different, but yeah, but yeah, no, it's good. All right, but Eric, you got your last one. Is a nice one for the people who like dongs.
Yeah, just keeping it fun here.
Keeping it fun.
A repeat here, so I'll give a quick little like backstory.
Yeah, do it.
So I love crapping on the Yankees. I love my Yankee fan friends. I'm a New Yorker. They obviously, talk about World Series in April and whatnot. And they always have a little cold spell. With that being said, they've done a great job, getting back in that race. Of course, it came down to the last day for the AL East. And as much as I like to talk crap about the Yankees and make fun of my friends, objectively at this point in the season, I do think the Yankees are a bit undervalued for what they could do in the playoffs. I mentioned this literally 10 minutes ago, how I think that they're going to not be able to win a World Series because of their coaching, their bullpen, their base running, their fielding, and all those errors we saw plague them last year. With that being said, because of how kind of weak the AL still is, are they going to go deep into the playoffs? Now I think probably. As somebody who had actually with my friend for them to miss
they have a great bracket draw. They have a great bracket draw.
They do.
With Bo Bichette hurt on Toronto, their side of the bracket is they get to play the same teams that they know, and they're playing at home.
And Boston is probably their biggest. This is going to probably be a very tough. Like I think that I didn't think that they're going to like skate by Boston, win 2 games, and move on. Like Boston, gives them fits. We know that they play them well. We know that they play them hard. But with that being said, I think at this point, the Yankees are a little bit undervalued, and I don't think they're going to win the World Series because, again, of all the flaws I mentioned. But can they be playing in their second consecutive World Series? Absolutely. So going back to the man who helped get them there last year and also did actually win this last year, Giancarlo Stanton, most home runs, 10 to 1.
I love this bet. I tailed it as soon as you put it out there. I'm like, this is the one. He's got a WRC plus of 210 over the last 15 days.
He's also, we all have to laugh at low leverage Judge. Like Big G is as high leverage as it gets, and he's finally healthy. He's been hitting the ball a million miles an hour all year long, like he's done his entire career. And considering, again, I think the Yankees can make a deep run. Big G at 10 to 1, especially for some of the other prices, and the Yankees could make it deep at this point. I love Big G too.
It's not a hot take at all to say, by the way, last year he was their best hitter.
He was awesome.
Like he was God mode. I mean, Soto ended up being pretty good too, but Stanton was.
We had him for home run leader in the World Series, and he did it. It was in the LCS. Yeah, he's awesome. He was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, he's so much fun to watch. He hits the piss out of the baseball, and again, I think the Yankees can actually make a run. As much as I like to talk smack about the Yankees, got to give due credit where it's due. Yankees have an easy draw. Yankees have a roster if they're hitting the tanks they can hit, and their starters go deep into games. They're going to be a tough out in the AL, and the more games they play, the more Big G bombs we could possibly witness. So I'm in on Big G at 10 to 1.
Nope, I love it. I took it. As soon as you texted to us earlier today, I took that. I also took Yankees to score the most runs at plus 650. Their ads are shorter than the Brewers, and they're bunched up there with the Dodgers. But this crochet matchup I don't like. But then I'm not really afraid of the rest of the. I shouldn't say I'm not a Yankees fan, but I say I like that. But I think that there's basically the pitchers that they're going to go against on their side of the bracket. To me, I think that are extremely vulnerable. They play first of all 2 hitter friendly parks for the first 2 rounds, and obviously like that. Actually, if you think about that, other side of the bracket is like the least not hitter friendly, unless you're a lefty, because it's Comerica and it's Guardians is fine, but Comerica and then it's T-Mobile. But but for the Yankees, they're going to go against a Blue Jays pitching staff where three of their top Barrios is out, and I think Bassett's hurt too. But that they have a starting pitching staff that has hit massive innings this year and is just with Gausman's like going to explode at some point. Scherzer has been terrible for the last month, so I like that as my way to kind of cover some Yankees things. They could just win. They could bomb a bunch of games. And as the postseason goes on, maybe games get to score less. And that was the one. That was the way that I should have that. And I put a little bit on Trent Grisham to be ALCS MVP just because it would be like a really nice footnote on how like baller he's been all season.
The fact that they avoid Seattle until the LCS is huge because we know that Yankees are going to have to roll out two of their starters, being Rodon and Fried, that they're going to rely the most on are both lefties. Teams that are hitting lefties extremely well over the past month. I mean, Yankees, by the way, are actually number one in this. They 129 WRC plus, but Seattle's right there at sixth in the last month in terms of hitting left-handed pitching. So Adam and I have been like, it's been kind of a running joke. We've been pretty cool on Seattle like the entire year, and it's one of those things where like everything
we were really cool on the Brewers just to hate on them, and then they
now the numbers though are actually backing up the fact that we should be cool on the Brewers. But Seattle is the one team where I'm like, the numbers are telling me otherwise. That this team actually matches up pretty well against the Yankees. But again, they don't have to play them until the LCS. So if you were trying to bet Stanton could legit get to the home run leader and may not need a World Series. There is scenarios where
you only need 5. You don't. It's not as if you need 10 home runs. 5 home runs at very least dead heats this. We had Jackson Merrill last year, and he was the home run leader until Stanton went off. So you only need 5. He could have 2. He has so much pitch protection around him too. I mean, I think that. I love that bet. I think October Stanton, I'm 100% in on.
It's also just like, if it's not for anything, it's also just like the narratives, right? Like, of course, we're trying to find some value. He's just giving out some really like sharp bets, looking deep into the boards there. But then we're talking about a New York Yankee team that could slug with everybody, an easy bracket, and Big G, who has done nothing but hit tanks since he's been in Major League Baseball, especially in the Bronx. So I'm riding Big G as my homage to the Yankees. They have a bunch of, like I said, Yankee fan friends, love to talk smack, but they don't play, like you said, Seattle till the CS. If they make it there, I have my Seattle exposure, so I could be happy with a Big G ticket there in Seattle to hopefully win, and as long as the Dodgers are still alive, I can call it successful.
And it could. I'm saying Seattle to the LCS. I mean, again, you've got a Guardians team that could.
That Guardians team very much. I'm fine with saying this. There are 7 guys on that team who have negative WAR, dude. What are we fucking doing?
Yeah,
that team is super clutch. Like so I went to Fish last weekend. Post vasectomy, I went and saw Fish for 4 days, and I was with Corey from the Discord, and he's from Cleveland, and he just goes through the lineup and he's reading out the batting averages. There's 3 guys who have batting averages above 230, and it's Manzardo who has 230, Quan at 260, and J Ram at 288. Everybody else is sub Mendoza line. Shearman's like 188. Noel's like 155. But all their hits over the last month have been clutch. They're just that is an unserious team that is there, that stumbled into this. Like, I love it, but I looked at
what's crazy about the Guardians?
What's that?
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm literally just about this to pull up the WAR and to point out
the
that
WAR is all negative on every. You have to go to. You have to drop the qualified hitter rating on it to 15 games to even put together a lineup that works. David Fry's dead. Like, it's a hilarious
24th in WAR for the season in hitting, and then you'd be like, okay, well, they made this run the last 2 months, so obviously they're at least hitting better. They're the exact same. They're still 24th in WAR the last 2 months compared to the rest of the season. So, I mean, shout out there, I guess, to Gavin Williams and the pitching staff, because that really has been, and the bullpen. apparently all you need is your best closer to log into FanDuel, and all of a sudden
Hilarious
your bullpen
too. Yeah, he cashed
starts
that bet.
to improve.
Cashed
But
that bet
yeah,
though.
it does.
That was it. Yeah, that was one of our biggest liabilities this season was the under on Clase. And he ended up getting kicked out of the league. All right, Eric, this was awesome. I love you. I appreciate that you came by. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you're doing when you're not here, giving out stage advice.
Thank you, Adam and CJ, for having me. I really do appreciate it. I know we're in for an amazing MLB playoffs. Like tomorrow, 1:00, we have baseball on. So
I was going to say you're going to be sitting there. You're like all set. Yeah.
I have my monitor. I'm watching baseball all day tomorrow. You can find me on Twitter at GoBetSmart and at Slime Action. But quick shameless plug here. Started a company, BetSmart, about 4 months ago, and what we do is we help bettors find the best betting tools for you. Whether you're a player prop bettor, an EV bettor, an ARB bettor, an odd screen enthusiast, we go through all different softwares, test them, see what's good about them, where they can improve, and let you know based on what you're looking for, which ones are right for you. So if you're interested in learning more about the technology that's quickly becoming, unavoidable in the space, and they'll help you actually get a long-term edge, stop wasting time on those different websites, finding all the different stats, and utilizing the things that are right in front of you to help you make better bets. Betsmart.co will help you find the best tool for you.
We love it. We'll put the link in our all of our Spencer will put it in there. But yeah, man, like I love that you guys are doing that. You and Jesse are doing that. It's just awesome. It's very much needed. I saw you do a stream the other day for a product that I won't name because it's a competitor with the product that sponsors our show, but you did a really good job of explaining better ways to use that. And CJ and I have both worked for that product and had to do what you did, and you did it flawlessly and in very, very well. So I was like, oh, this is really, really good. More people should see this. And then I opened the app and I saw that more people are seeing it. So it's great. You're doing a really good job.
Appreciate that. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to listen to the people who are in the trenches trying to, either win more or even just lose less. There are tools to help you lose less, and there are absolute tools to help you win more. So, don't have to do it yourself. That's what friends are for, and that's what technology is for.
It's in your handle, Eric. Go bet smart. That's all you're here to do. It's just go bet smart. So.
Yeah. Handygraphs 2.0 will be on there. It'll be great. Absolutely. All right, man. Thanks for coming by, dude.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your
night. I love that Stanton bet.
Oh,
he's gonna hit bombs. All right. Do you that was good. That was good. That got me so pumped for tomorrow. While that happened, by the way, one of the many bets I beard for Sean Green hit, and he's just like
Tyreek Hill to tear his ACL. Was that one?
No, yeah, that's and Tommy just texted me this. Do I know my team or do I know my team? And it's this thing about the Jets. All right, so give me another bet give me one more future, and then we'll get Spencer. That's more than ACL. Tell me, you said you wanted to get my live reaction on another one. Did you get all of them, or do you want another one? I have one more I want to talk to you, and then we can do it.
Yeah, the main two that I kind of gave in that last segment there, which was the one I texted you, I was so excited about, was that 43.5 total postseason games, because like this is such a like nerd bet, but it actually like has, I think, a legit edge to it. The only other one I kind of was interested in was, I think there was what was it? Oh, well, you did mention the total number of home runs. That number is.
By the way, I got to bet this.
This seems by the way very high.
We're taking the under postseason games played.
Yes, 43.5 under. Yeah. And
right.
that they are monitoring liquidity on that market, because it was like minus 125 and then it went down to minus 110. I bet it, and then it went back up, and then I think it might have came back down again. So
okay, keep going. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Caesars, not to really like shout them out, but they do have a lot of good postseason specials.
They really do.
I like some of these, again, like pitcher to record 14 or more strikeouts. No, minus 800. That probably should be like even a lot shorter than that. The
6 RBI one should be way longer. Than
6 RBI should be that. I mean, obviously, do not bet any of the teams to go undefeated in the postseason. That one is certainly not a
total number of Grand Slam home runs is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's at 3.5.
It's 2.5 at even
2.5.
money.
Lindor had one last year. Freeman had one.
And then there was another. There was two in the.
No, there was three. There was three because there's at least three because there was the Lane Thomas Grand Slam against Skubal. So that one's kind of interesting. Yeah, at 2.5.
That's not bad. I think I need a little bit better than even money, but that's not
because
like it's effectively a Grand Slam is effectively like a 5-leg parlay because you need like all these other guys to get on base to do it.
Here's another one that is kind of interesting, especially like if you like some of these teams if you like some of the road teams the road teams, but the lower seeds, especially early on, the teams to win more games in the 2025 postseason.
Where did you find this?
Home is away is 3-1. Home is -400, and we all again know how home field advantage does not really matter in the playoffs. This is under postseason specials and Caesars too. 3-1 for away, -400 for home.
Let me see this. Hold on. Away. Okay. Team to win more. Oh yeah. Well, did you check this?
I mean, I didn't go down the deep dive of like how many away games are won.
Want to check that, but it's hold on. Here's the issue.
You're going to naturally play more home games in a series if the series goes long.
Priced that way is because the wild card round is in one place. So I still like that bet.
But that's my point though. It's like if you have
there's two teams already that we like better in.
Yes, well, so that's my point. It's like so you already have the Padres as one team, and
I like the Tigers.
You really do not like the Guardians at all. If you do like,
they were 8-5 against them this year. I don't want to pretend that I don't want to pretend. The last thing I was saying on this, you'll say one more thing with this, and we can get out. But the last thing I'm going to say about Guardians and Tigers, it is not that the Guardians beat the Tigers. It's that the Guardians won a ton of games when the Tigers lost a ton of games. They were only 8-5 against them this year. Like, I don't want to pretend that they weren't 12-1.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were 5-1 down the stretch, I think, against them, but that was also in the middle of the Tigers slump. Maybe there they too. Reset. So, I mean, I might as well throw one more last piece of shade at the Brewers, but whoever wins that Cubs Padres series,
I think is beating the Brewers.
I like them against the Brewers, and Phillies. Phillies and Dodgers, it's that's gonna be your 3-2 most likely. But yeah, I mean, we like the Yankees, for example, potentially against Seattle if that is an LCS in the AL. So 3-1, like I might look a little bit more at that, but I don't.
I did it.
On the surface, I don't hate that number.
I'm putting a unit on this. This is a great bet.
Man, let's do it. Screw it.
Done. All right.
Nice.
Man, I all I want to do is give out futures, and but instead I'm just going to say to people, George Springer for what? We didn't get to talk about this. We'll just say this, but George Springer at 100-1 for his
crazy. That one was an absurd number. Yeah,
that's an absurd number.
And Vlad's RBI number, which you brought this up this morning too, but I didn't understand that one at all either. Like I know we're a little lower on Toronto.
Well, you know what it is? It's because he bats second. That it's not like technically an RBI thing. But it's still Vlad. But that's my point. It's like it's too good of a hitter. The value on Bryce Harper is
31 for home run leader. We pocketed that this morning,
and we took the RBI leader. We have all these that are out, but like. We did a good job, I think, on these things, but that I'm, I didn't want to add more Jay's exposure, but but the Springer one, 34% of the games he played this season, he had 2+ hits. And he's arguably the hottest Jays hitter since July.
Do you have anything in this round
when he was on the Astros?
Anything in this upcoming round, the wild card round? I guess we'll be back on the air once we're.
I think the Dodgers. I took the Dodgers to start.
Okay, I was going to say that's probably my favorite.
It's the exact same situation that the Braves were in last year.
Yes, yeah, and if they post the batter strikeout lines for Ellie and that team tomorrow, like there will be a number of
Yeah, I'll be
SGPs
going over on
that
it.
I will be putting some of those in. So
Yep.
Streets is going to have a field day with that one with Snell.
I think he's back from
going
Ireland
against that
too.
lineup.
All right, we went an hour, even though I wanted to go shorter, but it's fine. We're not going to do a dad moves, though. I will tell everybody my dad. Well, I'll give a quick dad move. The quick dad move is to plan out dinner. What did I tell you else I did? I can't. Plan out dinner and just plan out dinner. Plan out dinner for use ChatGPT to plan out dinner for your wife and kids. It's great. All right, so CJ is at Dad's at Bet. Eric is at Go Bet Smart. Spencer is at Spencer_Ray. This is Dad's Bet Baseball. A reminder to use Hall of Fame bets. One of the ways that I knew the most number of two hit games, I was on Hall of Fame bets. I went on Hall of Fame bets. I went under leaders, and I just I set it to 2 hits, and I was able to see all the guys, and that was how I was able to cap actually a lot of future stuff. So thanks everybody for coming by. Continue to like and subscribe. We're at like 100 YouTube views. We're blowing up. This is great. We got our Wednesday episode. I believe Steffi Smalls is going to come on, and we're going to get to talk about Giants. So that'll be fun. And we'll talk about football. But for all of this, CJ, what is the final word?
Guardians to win the World Series.